Welcome to the city of brotherly girls.
So I'm here with the bare-knuckle king, pound for pound, #1 in the world, Dave the Redneck Mundell. Thank you so much, sir, for your time today.
Of course, man. I appreciate you calling me in.
Of course, thank you. So first thing I wanted to ask is, you're known for not only your dominance, but I noticed just being able to stay calm when things get chaotic. What is it about you that you have that mental thing where you're able to stay calm in your southpaw stance, switching stances and stay calm? What is that about you?
The short answer is just, experience. That plays a big role in that. Outside of that, everything that I do before my fight preparation, my training camp, I don't slack off. I train super hard. I guarantee you there's nobody out there that outworks me. I don't miss any days. I do all the extra work. I'm constantly grinding, constantly pushing. And because of that, it allows me to go into the fight, not second guessing myself, knowing that I did everything that I could to be ready for that situation. And then I'm in there. And then outside of that too, of course, inside of training, you always put yourself in situations. You see your opponent 1,000 times before I finally get in there with them, whether it's shadow boxing or having a sparring partner to act like him or whatever, fight like him. So all those things combined, man.
That's interesting. Now, when you do have an opponent come up and you have a date set, do you watch film? I know a lot of fighters like to watch film, some don't.
It's like 50-50. There's some times where I do, and then a lot of times I leave it up to my coaches. They'll see everything they need to. I'm a little weird. I like to I like to stress myself out, right? I like to see and make the opponent to be this huge scary guy that's unbeatable, and that makes me train so hard. One of the things I said when I fought Mike Richmond was, thank you, you elevated me, right? Because that's exactly what, I was concerned going into that fight. I knew I had an actual fighter in front of me. It wasn't just a bum. So I trained my ass off. I went out there and it showed,
Yeah.
So
Now, what are some things you pick up on, like little tendencies? Like, what are some things that you look for to exploit?
I'm bad. Little tendencies when I watch videos. If I'm watching for myself, I feel like even without knowing everything, you can see a lot in there and tell if somebody is good or not. Now, if they're good and they worry you and you start picking out little things more, I just want to know, obviously, the short answers right away. What stance is he? Southpaw, is he orthodox? Does he like to come forward? Does he try to come behind you with everything? Does he like the pressure and try to break everything up? Just all those little details that go into it. But what I've noticed when I fight is people fight differently when they are scared, So when they go in there against me, and there's been multiple times where I've faced somebody who was a brawler, somebody who wanted to stand in a circle with me and throw down. And guess what? When we go out there, all of a sudden they're like, I'm not going to do that, because they know damn well if they make a mistake, no, I'm going to put them out. So it doesn't usually turn into that. So my point of all that was it changes. I can watch video and somebody go out there and be a completely different person. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Kids.
Brother, it's all good, brother. But I noticed that about you with your head movement, and watching all of your fights, it does seem like you do change your style up a little bit. And I think what separates you too is your head movement, your ability to box, throwing out of the grapple, and you seem to switch it up a lot.
I do my best to keep people guessing.
Yeah.
I think the reason why obviously I'm elevating every time. Every day that I'm in the gym, I'm there year round. It's not just inside fight camps. I'm always training just for my own health, like exercise, stuff like that. I enjoy boxing. I enjoy really all the martial arts. So if I'm not, just because I'm not lifting weights, if I'm training, that's still something good for myself. So I'm always in it. But
now, what's your actual background? as a kid, what made you get into fighting? What's the backstory? How'd this all start?
Started from wrestling. So my senior year, it was about halfway through the wrestling season when I decided to join the team. Um, I guess, I was a scrappy kid, got into a few school fights, and the wrestling coach is always like, "Oh, if you think you're so tough, come over here." And it's, back in the day, you see the kids wearing the tights, what do they call, singlets? There we go.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to do that because I'm not going to wear that. And he's like, come on, if that's the only reason, like, you come into the gym and just try all that stuff. So you go in there, and immediately I just fell in love with it. I found out I was really good at combat sports. I wasn't just all talk. Like, I could actually move, I could actually do this stuff, and I can actually had heart. I wanted to do it. So that kicked it off. And from there, after high school, I wanted to continue to wrestle, but I didn't want to go to college. So, like, going to these local tournaments, I would just trash people. And I'm like, well, this is kind of lame. It's not the same, like, the whole high school experience where, like, I mean, everything was so hard. Like, the practices were so intense, and the matches always, like, just always fighting for everything. So I'm like, it was too easy, and I wanted something more. And my buddy's like, come over and do jiu-jitsu with me. And I'm like, man, why am I, like, it's not going to do anything. And he's like 130 pounds. And I wound up rolling with him, and we just stalemated the whole time. Like, I couldn't do anything to him. He couldn't do anything to me. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this dude's 130 pounds. I think I was like 200 pounds at the time. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, okay, let me see what he has. Go to the gym with him one time, and that was it. It was a wrap from there. I fell in love with jiu-jitsu. That led to doing like kickboxing and stuff like that. MMA, had a great career there, and just doing all this. And then BKFC comes to Tampa for the first time, and they're like, hey, we're looking for fighters. I'm like, fucking count me in, man. I'm all about the competition. So I'm like, let's try it out. Let's get another notch on my belt, and here we are.
The rest is history. Now, number one pound for pound.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, what would you say is the difference between all the different disciplines? Like, in terms of the mental state, the willingness. Like, I know
I forget the exact quote, and it's something along the lines of, like, once you find the way of becoming really good at something, it kind of gives you a map or a blueprint of how to be successful everywhere.
Yeah.
I know the time that I have to put in, I know the practice that I have to do, I know the reps, whatever. Like, I already have a general idea on what I'm supposed to be doing. So whether it's jiu-jitsu or boxing or all of them together, like, you just know you got to get in there, you got to train, you got to figure out what things are stopping you from doing what you want to do and fix them, ultimately. And then outside of all that, no matter what discipline, key,
sure,
you got to have it.
See, it seems to me, exactly to your point, BKFC seemingly to me takes like a different level of commitment. You'll see a lot of guys that are not fighters, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll go do Misfits boxing, or I'll go do celebrity boxing." You don't see anybody that's like, "I'm just going to go do BKFC." It takes a different level.
I know. So then, and there's the mixed views there. I hear a lot of people like, it's only old, washed up fighters. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't think I'm washed up,
No.
And then you got people who are, coming up through the ranks in MMA and stuff like that, and they're like, I ain't doing that shit. It's crazy. Like, I'm not letting you hit me with no gloves on, cutting my face all up, So everyone's got their own reasons and stuff, but I'm here to say, like, I love it. Like, I don't think it's any different than MMA. As far as the gloves, like, getting hit by those gloves and getting hit by a hand feels the same to me. I might get cut more often, but that heals fast. 2-minute rounds a hell of a lot easier to train for than 5s, and I like boxing, so it just coming out there already used to having to be a little bit closer to people. Like, let me back up a little bit. Boxing to bare-knuckle, like, when you take away that glove, that takes away a little bit of your range, and people don't realize how much that actually affects people. I can't tell you, just back in the day, training with boxing gloves on for MMA fights, and then you get into the MMA fight, and you got these little gloves, and all of a sudden, like, people are, like, almost scared to hit people. Like, they just don't figure out how to commit correctly. And so coming from MMA with the little gloves, having the range already going into BKFC, it's like I felt like the sport was made for me. Like, and then I get to go out there, I get to hit people, and all of a sudden they can't attach to my leg. Like, I can hit you, and you can't do shit about it other than try to hit me back. I'm like, I like my odds in this. Trust me.
For sure. And I love BKFC because it's the original discipline. Like I even watched I think BKFC started locally in Philly. So I watched that Dave Feldman documentary where he built the BKFC to what it is today. And it goes all the way back to the 1800s and it's just real fisticuffs. And that's what's beautiful about it. You know, even, I don't know, you tell me because you know better than anybody, but it seems to me like with the gloves, let's say it's a 16-ounce boxing glove, with that surface area, it's actually worse for you than just getting hit with a bare fist one time. Do you think that's true?
I do agree with what you're saying. The science behind it, I'm not completely sure, but what I can say is if you hit me with a glove, the same strength as without a hand, like I feel like I can take more shots with the glove, right? Because it cushions it a little bit.
For sure.
So now, like if I get hit, let's put a health bar behind it, right? If we have 10 points for health and I get hit 10 times by a boxing glove and each one of them took away 1 point, 10 points gone, you know?
Yeah.
And then if you put no, you have no gloves on and then you go out there and those things only count for like 0.5 now. I can get hit 20 times to accumulate the same amount of times that I would have to get hit with the boxing gloves, or it's actually reversed from there. It'd be less times. Either way, I confused myself on that one.
I get what you're saying, though.
You get what I'm saying, though? Like, I feel like you'll take more shots from a boxing glove, which will then, like, increase the amount of damage you're taking, where if I just get hit once or twice by no gloves, like, I'm less damaged, you know, I'm still alive. And also, the biggest part, and this is one I am 100% sure on, if I put a glove on, I can hit you as hard as I want, and my hand is fine. Take that glove away. Let me hit you as hard as I can.
Break your hand.
My hand might break.
Yeah.
Definitely is going to break before your skull does, you know? So how much damage can you really put behind something like that? Like, I feel like the hand will crumble before you break somebody's brain.
For sure.
So accumulation is a big factor with that there. And then the rest.
Now, after a fight, pretty much all wins, but even after like a miraculous knockout, is there your hands in crazy pain?
A lot of the times, yes. So it's funny because we were just talking about this. Like everyone trains different ways to like harden their knuckles. Some people like to hit things. Some people do the rice bucket. I do absolutely fucking nothing. I go out there and I fight. That's what I do. I remember the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 fights. Every single time we'd have the knuckles they would swell up and they go to the thing and the thing broke your hand or whatever. They're like, oh no, you just popped a capsule. It's like, okay, whatever. And it takes forever to heal. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 months before I can just poke it and it would hurt and finally start to go away. Now I can start hitting things again. That has went away from me on its own because I've hit things so many times that it's no longer my knuckles that are hurting. It'll actually be my wrist. I'll start getting a hump back here where my wrist, like,
wow,
it's like all the little carpal bones will come out of place or whatever will happen. You know, if I also had broke that hand when I fought Hector, so it just a lot of problems on that side, and it'll just suck for a while.
Yeah,
but it's part of the game
for sure. Now, do you train with gloves off? Or do you train with MMA?
No. So I sparring and stuff like that, teammates or even outside work, you know, like we're not trying to get cut. We're trying to be able to train the next day. So definitely wearing boxing gloves. Now, what I do is they have certain types of bag gloves that don't have any padding on them. They're just like a leather thing that you slip over. They look like an oven mitt almost, right? Yeah. So those are what I'll wear when I hit mitts or when I hit the bag, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, especially closer to the fights, like I said, to adjust that range, like get used to it again. And I think once you've done it so many times, it's not necessary to always do. I don't need as much because I can adjust. My range can change from each person. Like anyone I'm fighting, like they could just be better at backing up, you know, so then I have to be a little longer, you know, so that it changes in there as well. But I have a general understanding of what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to find them. And so it's a little bit easier there. If you don't know that, maybe you'd want to train with those more often. I have my sweet spot that I like, so I just kind of wrap it up that way.
That's smart. Now, do you spar if you're in fight camp 2 weeks out? Are you sparring or no?
I love to spar. I'll spar a week from my fight.
Wow.
That's a whole nother thing with some people are like, oh, we never spar. You know, I don't believe in beating your brain up and stuff like that. But let's go back to what I was saying, where I never want to leave any stone unturned. Like, I want to make sure I'm 100% ready for a fight. I have to have one really good sparring match.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, these damn kids coming out here checking on me.
It's all
But
good.
I have to have one good sparring match, you know, to feel good. And I'm not talking about just winning the match. I'm talking about I want to go in there against somebody who's just as skilled as I am, who also wants to knock my head off. You know, there's a whole different type of anxiety there.
Yeah.
You know, people can be in the best shape of their life, CrossFit, whatever. You bring them into boxing, all of a sudden they start flinching at getting hit, and they get tired in a minute. You know,
Yeah.
and we got 10 to go. So like, it's super important to know where I'm at, you know, with my conditioning, and the only way to replicate that is to do it, at least for me. So I have to have at minimum one, but there's always more than that. And because what if that one happens and you did bad? You got to fix it, and then you got to make sure you're good again. You know, closer the fights are together, maybe I can get away with not sparring as much, you know, time to recover, stuff like that. But I am very big into sparring. I think it's super important, and that's just my belief. Like I said, some people don't believe that, but I do.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the mental piece too. You want to have that conquer mentality, and you're fully ready to go with no stone unturned going into it. What about?
And also, I may be a little biased from that too, because when I first started off, it's funny, we talk about this a lot too. When you first start off training, and you hear it's sparring days, you get a lot of guys who don't show up no more. They're scared to spar, right? But they come mitts and drills and stuff like that. They're there. And here I am now, you know, like 13, 14 years into this game, I'll skip out on warm-ups and drills. Like, let me just get to the sparring part. That's all I ever want to do anymore. That's the good stuff. But my bad. What were you saying before I cut you off again?
No, I was going to ask even that, like the anxiety of, like you said, like the anxiety of a fight, the build up, everything like that. As the fight gets closer, are you starting to get more calm, more confident? And then maybe further out, you're like, I need to make sure every stone's unturned. I need to do X, Y, and Z. But as the fight gets closer, now it's a couple days out. What are you feeling? Like, what's that emotion like? No one can go and do that.
There's always a roller coaster of emotions, and you really never know. You never know. Like, I swear to you, I've been into fights where I've not been concerned one bit. Like, I walk in there like it's literally just another day. I fight, I come out, and it was almost surreal that it even happened. Like, it's so weird in those times. And there's other times where you're so worried about the fight, and you're so nervous, right? And all the way up until you step in that ring, you're just like, what am I doing? You know, like, this is crazy. But then when you get in there, it all goes away. No matter what, every time that I've ever stepped in that ring, stepped on a mat to do any type of wrestling match, jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. Once you're in there, for me, it's all gone, because you're there already.
Yeah. Now, do you feel anything walking out, and then it just goes away when you're in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you feel when
Sometimes.
you're walking out?
What?
What do you feel when you're walking out, like during your walkout?
Again, it still depends on what emotion decides it wants to pop up that night. Normally, though, at the time of me walking out, like, I'm pretty pumped up, ready to go. I've already said everything I needed to say to myself, and like I said, I don't feel like, how to put that? Like, I know that I did everything that I was supposed to, so I don't feel like I cut myself short anywhere. So I'm ready to get out there, and I'm ready to put everything I've done on display and show everybody how hard I work, because what they don't see is all those hours I spent in the gym, all that time I couldn't eat what I want. You know, it was even the weight cut alone, like how much water I couldn't drink, you know, just it's getting out there. Normally when I'm walking out to my fights, I'm pretty pumped up, ready to go.
For sure. Now walk me through even the weight cuts and things like that. Like, what do you, if you don't mind, like, how much do you typically cut? What's that process like? More so just the mental piece, because most humans don't go through that. It's a warrior thing only.
So I would say about 16 pounds is the average 24 hours out from weigh-ins. I walk around anywhere between 205 and 215, and I say that it's such a large gap because like this morning I woke up at 205, and right now I stepped on the scale, I'm 210, And 2 days ago, after eating a bunch, I was 215. So like it literally just fluctuates all the time, but I'll stay right there. But inside my camps, obviously, I'm focusing on eating the correct things. I'm staying super disciplined. I'm hitting the training when I'm supposed to. I'm drinking the same amount of water. I'll get it all the way down to about 198 and 196 if I'm lucky, consistently right there, and then I'll cut the weight from there.
And it'll take, once you get around 198 or so, you have what, 2 weeks to get the rest off or so?
Well, that would usually be the week out from the fight, and that's when we start doing the water loading, which shouldn't be a secret. Everybody should already really know about that. But basically, like I even get up to drinking with 3 gallons of water a day, and that will actually dehydrate you. Your body will just start pissing and pushing so much water out. It's crazy now. I call it bro science. I don't know if it's true or if exactly what happens or not, but my body gets used to taking, if a gallon of water weighs 7 pounds, I think it's like 7 or 8, I don't know, but let's just say 7. If I drink 3 gallons of water a day, that's 21 pounds. If all of a sudden I stop drinking that 21 pounds of water, my body's still trying to piss out 21 pounds of water. So therefore, it just makes it easier to go ahead and let it go. My body's not going, oh, no, we can't do that. We need every little bit we can. I see too many people start a week out, 2 weeks out, and they stop drinking, or they drink just a little bit at a time. They do the same thing with food, and they're miserable for so long. I'm trying to stay as dehydrated and miserable for the least amount of time as possible, you know? So I have a whole system. I've worked with a nutritionist for, I don't know, my last like probably 5, maybe 6 fights. And she's been phenomenal. I've already had a general understanding of what I was supposed to do from cutting weight in MMA, you know, so coming over here, shorter rounds, a little bit easier to recover. They're always on time with their weigh-ins. You know, we get a time slot that the BKFC does. They give the fighters that you got to be here at 12 or maybe it's 11 a.m., you know, that you know when you have to weigh in. So that's huge, you know, so I get there, weigh in, and right away, boom, I start pounding some water or whatever it is I got to do to start rehydrating, you know. And that's probably been one of my favorite things about BKFC, because I remember going to some of the MMA stuff, like you would have to wait for all the fighters to get there. If one of these dumb motherfuckers were late, you know, everybody would want to rip his head off anyways, but you couldn't weigh in. And then when you finally weigh in, it was such a jumbled mess, and it was never on time. It would be in the nighttime. You know, they're doing their weigh-ins, their real weigh-ins at 6, 7 at night instead of the mock weigh-ins. So BKFC, we do our real weigh-ins earlier, and then we have the mock weigh-ins, you know, for the people to see everything as face off later on, which again, perfect.
Yeah. Now it sounds to me like the local, regional, like grassroots boxing scenes where the weigh-ins are, people aren't showing up. You have all this unorganized shit going on. That's BKFC, I think years down the road, in the short term, I think it's going to be as popular as the UFC and everything like that. It's still in its infancy stages. They got everything like on point.
No, I'm a full believer, man. I was gun ho about MMA. I was going to make it to the UFC, and I was going to be a champ there, you know, and I always thought it was the best. And then BKFC came, and I remember even saying that, I'm like, I'll give it a try just because I want to know. But it literally is so different and so much more exciting. It's fast paced, you know, like there's from a fan perspective, it's more relatable. Like you can go to a bar fight, watch 2 guys fight, and you know who wins. You know, it's not like, oh, jiu-jitsu, I don't know who got what points there. You know, how do I score that? They don't know. So they see these 2 guys just slugging it out, and it's like, again, fast paced, those 2-minute rounds. Like it's genius, right? Because it makes them push hard. Wrestling kind of does the same thing, 2-minute rounds, and how tired do you get inside of there? It's crazy. So like it definitely still takes conditioning, but it's way faster. It's boom, 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 and people love it. The product 100% sells itself.
I agree 1,000%. And it's not even, when you get to the higher levels, like where you're at, it's not even as much as slugfest. Like when I watch your fights, you're calculated, you have your head movement, you're the upper echelon of it. That's what's really going to sell.
I think that's another thing too that is super cool about BKFC is you have the lower end of the card where you do have those guys who are just like to go in there. Wow, maybe they don't know what they're doing. They just got heart. Maybe they don't even know how to throw a punch correctly, but they go in there and they do their damn best and they try. And then you got somewhere in the middle where you guys got people who have heart and a little bit of technique, and then you get the people at the top who are just, you know, monsters. So they just know what they're doing.
For sure. Now, outside of yourself, like even some of the female fighters, who would you say is at that upper echelon with you, like that you see with the technique, with the skill? Who are some other people that you like?
You know, anybody on my team is going to be good because we got one of the best coaches around. You know, outside of it, like people who are good. I like Austin Trout. He comes from boxing. I'm being put on the spot, and that's the only name that popped up. You know, but there's definitely a few people in there. I'm trying to think now. Who else?
There's even some like
you have people who've been around, or like Luis Palomino is one. He's been around forever. He comes from MMA, and he's just a scrappy guy who has made his way work really well for him. I feel like he's not your traditional boxer, but he's just gritty. You got Austin Trout, like I said, who's a great boxer. Then you have some of these lower weight guys. I can't think of any of these damn names right now.
I'm thinking
I've been on a boat all day.
Yeah.
I come home and, you know, I'm still a little sunburned. I literally just cooked one of the fish, and I'm out here waiting. So,
are you a Florida fisherman?
Oh yeah, that's why my whole arm is covered in all the inshore slam, and then I have the hogfish on my chest. That's when I started diving and stuff, you know, and I just the water was definitely my first love. The whole reason why I started fighting, I guess, or like said this is what I was going to do for my profession, is because I thought that I would only have to train a few hours out of the day, and you could spend the rest of the time on the water doing whatever you want.
That's bad.
Obviously, that's not the truth, though.
Nah.
Today is different. One of my coaches are out of town for another teammate of mine who's fighting Martin Brown. So he's over there fighting for BKB. And since he's gone, I was like, okay, I got a few days. I can go play around.
Now, what else do you like to do outside of fighting and fishing? What, like, as a human, what are your things?
I love the outdoors, man. So really fighting, fishing, and hunting. I like tinkering and building shit sometimes. You know, I built my first truck that I ever had. And from there, you know, you name it. I guess to me, it's just all the normal stuff. But I guess to individual people, it would vary. But I just do redneck shit, I guess.
Is that where the name came from? The redneck?
Yeah. You know, pretty much. My coaches, both of them. At the time, I had Martin Brown was one of my coaches, and then Jahad Wingfield, and they're both black guys coming out with the white guy. And my name, one of my nicknames back in the day was something I didn't like, and it was just weird. And my coaches would always call me Redneck, you know, so it just stuck around and it worked out so much better. And I do assume that it's from all the activities that I used to do. I'd always be bringing them like mullet and stuff, or like bring you some fish, or if you need some deer meat or something like that, I'll bring it to you, you know, it's whatever. So yeah.
No, it could be your fight style too. It could be that. It could be both. It probably comes from a place of love, though, you know?
Oh shit, yeah, of course. There's been a few times where we'd be out in public and my coach would be like, "Yo, Redneck," and I just remember seeing this old lady. She looked at me and was like amazed. Like, "You gonna let them call you that?" I'm like, "You must not know, but it's okay. It's my name." It's just funny though.
No, that's real funny. That's awesome. So now, what's on your radar for 2026? Anything that you're allowed to say scheduled yet? Anything? I know you're done.
I don't have anything scheduled yet, and it's super annoying, super frustrating. You know, I've wanted to fight anybody. I've even wanted to jump up weight classes. Even I'd go all the way up to 205 at this point in time just to get another fight. I think we're going on 7 months now since my last fight.
June, right?
I just think that's crazy. Like, to me, 6 months, if I'm fighting twice a year, okay, it makes sense. But I would love to fight 3 times a year. I think every 4 months, you get a month to recover and 3-month camp and you fight. You know, like if I could keep that cycle, that'd be great. But unfortunately, it's a business. There's other things that come into play with it all. So it slows down my progress a little bit. But this point, 2026, man, I want, I want, I want them to go ahead and let all these bums that are calling me out who are 3-0 or, 4, these little tiny records compared to mine, go ahead and sign them up. Let me just fight them. Just line them all up and let me just fight them all so I can have the most title defenses. And that's what I want right now. That's what my eyes are set on.
Just getting title defenses. Joe Louis, Bum of the Month Club.
Yeah, until they, they're going to, the people who make sense to fight me, going back to Mike Perry, like, he doesn't want to. People with that record, they know the danger that I possess, so they don't want anything to do with it. They're like, fuck it. Why would I go fight Dave and lose my stock when I can continue to fight these other guys that are, easy wins and rack that up? Like, I don't even blame them for that. Like, I can't. Yeah, I can't say that I wouldn't do the same. If I was getting older and I was maybe out of shape and there's some young buck calling my name out too, I might be like, you know what? I'm gonna go fight Jake Paul.
I mean, one thing.
Leave you alone.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting though is even I crack up watching that Connor podcast or not the podcast, the Connor.
Yeah, I know Trevor.
Yeah, he's like, you're talking all this and that. He's like, you'll perform, Michael. You'll do this and that. He's like, you need to go for the belt. He's like, you need to be the champion of the organization.
No, I think actually I know he's on my side with wanting that fight to happen, but unfortunately Mike is pricing himself out and on purpose. He doesn't, again, it's not a secret. Like, he doesn't want to fight me. Yeah. And everybody, I don't care if you ride his nuts or not. If you just watch our fights, watch me fight somebody, watch him fight somebody. And we have a common opponent. We both beat Julian Lane, right? But the way that I did it, the fashion that I did it in, I was untouched. He almost lost. Honestly, think he did lose that fight, Outside of that, they keep handing them people who either have no experience inside of BKFC and really aren't boxers, or they hand them guys who, okay, this guy's been in BKFC for a little bit, but he's, 4 or 5 weight classes underneath you, but he'll come up to you. Don't worry. Yeah. Like, come on now, bro. That fucking bullshit.
Well, when it does happen, what's the prediction?
What, me versus him?
What's the outcome? How does the fight play out?
Listen, all I know is I guarantee you I'm putting that boy to sleep. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him. What round? I don't know. Maybe the first, maybe the second, maybe out right up until the last second of the fifth, but I guarantee you I'm going in there. I'm coming for that fucking knockout, and I'm gonna get it.
For sure. I think that needs to happen 2026.
It does, absolutely. But oh man, it's just so aggravating, they just let him run. They let him run his mouth and then run away,
It's that he has the UFC, the name and everything like that, but then you have it pound for pound.
That whole thing right there. I don't think the UFC gave him his name. They gave him, a little stepping stone. The BKFC invested their money to put their name behind him and push him and make him to what he is today. He wasn't big like that before. Yeah. Like, you probably wouldn't even know who the fuck he was. But now he's in BKFC, and now he's been fed the correct people to get a big record. They literally made up a belt for him just to push him, So, like, BKFC made them, which is also, if you notice that quote, what made you can break you from Connor, same thing, because even he knows BKFC made Perry. Without BKFC, Perry's nobody. Perry wants to say he helped build BKFC. Get the fuck out of here. The fuck out of here.
It's similar to BMF, what they did. The BMF belt, not the official belt. That's what they're trying to do with BKFC. Now we saw what happened with. Go ahead.
You could even see Dave's opinion about it. In the beginning, he's like, we're not going to have him ever fight for this again. He'll never defend it because he knew it was just kind of like a made up belt. But unfortunately, this is an entertainment business. So people caught on to it. They seen it. They liked it. And it allowed them to, again, push their little poster boy, even though he's trash, allowed him to make him look bigger than what he is.
Yeah.
So they ran with it. Okay, fine. You guys have now created it. But what I don't like is how can you be the king of violence, but you don't have a fucking belt? Like if you're not a champ in one of the weight classes, like you shouldn't be able to even fight for that belt. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. At least the women's division has got it right.
And you need to be, if you're going to be the face of the sport, of the brand, you do need to be the champion.
Right. What happened to that? When I first came up watching fighting and stuff, like it was always who was the best, who was the champ. They were popular. They got pushed. Everybody knew who they were now. Nowadays, like you got, again, like people, like you can be the champ and there's other people who are still getting more clout than you by the organization. It's just business, politics, whatever. But at the end of the day, I could fight. That motherfucker comes into the ring with me, I'm gonna fuck him up. That's it.
Big thing he always says, and I think BKFC is a different animal, but he always points to your MMA fights when you have the banter back and forth. What's the difference you see in BKFC that makes you know you can beat him?
First things first, he keeps saying to people that he beat me in MMA, so there's no reason to rematch because he already beat me. He lost to Jake Paul in boxing, but he wants a rematch in BKFC because it's a different sport.
Yep.
So which ways do you want to play? You can't say, well, I want a rematch because I lost in a different sport, but say, but I won't fight you because I beat you in a different sport. It makes no sense. But ultimately, again, watch his fight. Watch his fights. Like he's trash. He's not grown, especially since the last time I fought him. And even in that fight when we fought as a professional in MMA, like I was beating the fuck out of him standing up. For whatever reason, I decided to shoot in. And that's ultimately was the ending of the fight. Nothing to do with on her feet. And I could have even stayed there. But for whatever reason, I decided to shoot. Bad choice. Mistake. Learn my lesson. Let's do this shit back. Let's run this shit back in BKFC.
I think it'll happen. I think end of 2026, it needs to happen for the sake of BKFC as a whole. How do you have the number one pound for pound fighter, the king of BKFC, not fight Perry? So I think it'll definitely happen. Maybe
we just need some investors that want to see it. Maybe enough people pull together and pay Perry the retirement fee he's asking for because he knows exactly what will happen, and we'll go from there.
Retirement fee, brother. There we go. Well, now after Perry, what's next after that? Let's manifest law of attraction. You get past Perry. Is there anyone else left? What's the next?
Listen, all these big name guys that are coming over from any organization, whether it's UFC or the boxing organizations, like there you go, put them against me. If you say, okay, you don't want them to fight for a belt right away, like because they need to come in and earn their spot, and because now all of a sudden we care about actual things. Yeah. Like we can make up a belt for this guy, but let's not let any other person come in and fuck that up for us. I don't know. I really don't know. I want bigger names. I want bigger fights. I want things that move the needle, right? I want legacy fights. I don't want these filler fights. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I'm just at a point to where I'd rather fight somebody than nobody at all.
Sure.
So this is what I do. This is how I make my money. It's what I love. Set it up.
Now, how does a fight with, for comparison's sake, we compared Perry with Lane, and let's do a comparison, you and Jake Paul in a boxing.
I'll be the fuck out of that man too. Yeah. Like I watch him and I give him props. He's done amazing with what he has for the amount of time he's put in. I think he's been boxing for longer than people really think or know because it wasn't a big thing before until he decided to make his move on it. He also comes from a place with a lot of money to where he can hire all the best people and do all the things he's supposed to do. But whether or not, he has the dedication and discipline to do that, I don't know. But outside of that, I've been in the sport longer. I can look at him and be around him and know that I am better than him. If we were to box, there's just levels. There's just levels.
Yeah. Now, how would you? Anything you've seen in his game that makes you confident? Anything you've seen where you're like, yeah, I could beat him.
Not necessarily anything like he does, like technique wise, but he's just new. He's just new. He hasn't seen all the tricks. He hasn't done very well when he faces adversity, things like that. Um, and him being bigger, he's not that fast. I just feel like I can see it, all his movements. I know what he's thinking, and like the psychology behind fighting, like being in there with him, I will break him. I'll break him down. I'll frustrate him. And every time he tries to find a way to do something, I'll punish him for it. And it'll just show, again, levels.
For sure.
They've not been around as long as I have. And you need that type of experience, especially facing somebody like me, because I have more experience than people who have been training longer than me, because I put more time in the gym when I'm there.
For sure. Anthony Joshua said it. You just said it. Chaos Williams said it last week about when you see a certain point in someone that comes with experience, where you're in the ring and you see that breaking point on somebody.
Yeah.
What's that like? Walk that through for somebody that's not 1% of the population being in there and seeing that.
It's a lot of people wouldn't even recognize it, I can see it from outside the fight, watching it, just little things. And I don't know how to explain or tell you the telltale sign to look for. But when I'm in there and I'm working with them, it feels amazing to know, like, I got you.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want with you now, and then from there, a lot of times if you walk out and you hit somebody really hard right away and they don't like it, you probably won't hit them hard again, because they're going to run the whole time. But if you go out there and you can lull them to sleep, or whatever, like maybe you're not hitting them, you just got to set them up better, so when you go in there and you're breaking them down, and you just outclassing people, man. I just love it, making them feel shitty about their boxing, about their hands. It's almost as good as the knockout, but the knockout's what's coming next. So
now, what's that feeling like when you knock someone out? That adrenaline,
smooth as butter.
Yeah.
When you hit somebody like that final shot, and like I'm sure you guys seen it too when I fight. Every now and then I'll do that thing. I don't know. I don't even know why I do it, but when I do that, it's because like it's done. I hit them. I felt it. It's done. I've dropped plenty of people, and I haven't done that because I know, okay, I hit him. I didn't expect him to fall. He's gonna get back up. Or maybe I hit him. Maybe I know I didn't hit him that hard, but he's doing that acting thing where he's like, oh shit, I gotta fall down, pretend like I'm hurt so I can take a little break or whatever it may be.
Breather.
But when you hit him smooth, it almost feels like you missed, because you just go through. It's like they hit you hit the switch inside their head, and there's no resistance. It just goes right through, and it feels amazing.
I bet. And what do you do after fights? Like, do you have a specific like routine that you do? And after party, you go hang with the family?
I go home. I got kids. I don't do shit. I'm not a partier, but that's probably also why I am where I'm at. I don't chase that shit. I'm not interested in drinking. I don't care. I don't like people. I definitely don't want to go sit in the crowd room. I'll beat you up. That's about it.
Yeah. Just go out in the boat. Go out in the boat and chill.
Away from everybody.
No, I hear you.
A few slick, keep my circle small. A few slick people. Outside of that, don't matter.
That's the warrior code. You got your tribe. You got your activity. That's it. Tell me about the autism awareness that you do.
My nephew is autistic. So I have a personal relationship with it, right? Outside of that, I get to see how people misunderstand things. Even coming up in school, like there was the class with all the people on the spectrum they would go to, and then you randomly get, kids will be kids. They're mean. They do shit. They don't even know why sometimes. And it's just very hurtful. And people don't realize what they're doing. And it just sucks. It's a shitty sight. So the more awareness we bring to that, the better. Like to know, like sometimes they're just different. That doesn't mean anything. They are their own person, It's who they are. I just want to do any little thing I can. Like always put the little puzzle piece on my shorts, you know,
Yeah.
put something on the banner if I'm around somebody who they have something, an organization or some type of what's it called? Like when they're trying to fundraiser of some
Yeah.
sort, you know,
Yeah.
like I'll do everything I can to help spread the word, invest in it myself, whatever I can, because it's for a good cause.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mundell. The pound for pound king, the BKFC champion, double champion, middleweight champion. Where can fans find you if they want to follow your career, your Instagram?
Redneck Mundell, you know, Redneck Mundell. And if you want to support me, man, you can go on to redneckmundell.com. I got shirts, coffee mugs, slippers, all kinds of cool shit, man. Get on there, buy something. That little bit comes back, the little bit that comes back to me helps, you know, push me through camps in between these times where I'm not collecting a paycheck. It would mean the world to me, and it means a lot.
Awesome. I'm going to go get my shirt now as soon as we get off the call.
Sweet, sweet.
Appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for the time.
Yes, sir.